What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? And welcome back to another Ringside Roundup here on the channel, man. And for today's Ringside Roundup, our topic today is going to be the fall of the Judgment Day. Because, man, if you ask me, I think the Judgment Day as a group in WWE is on its way out. If I'm being completely honest, I feel like it is definitely on its way out with matches and segments that we've seen with the Judgment Day over the past few weeks, from episodes of Raw to just segments and even at the Royal Rumble, man. I think there is a lot of evidence for explaining that the Judgment Day is currently on their way out in WWE. So that is what we are going to be discussing today. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the topic, give you guys evidence as to why I think that. And as always, you guys can go down in the comments below and leave me your thoughts. In fact, it'd be much appreciated if you guys go down there and leave your thoughts, because who doesn't love a good old talk about wrestling? Let's be honest, man. So go down in the comments below at any point in the video. Whenever you feel like, go down in the comments below, leave your thoughts on the topic, debate my thoughts, anything you want to talk about the world of professional wrestling, leave that all down in the comments below. But as always, before we get anywhere into any video, be sure to help your boy out by liking the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. Go follow the socials. You can find the links to those in the description of this video. That includes my Instagram account, my X account. Do all that helps me a ton. Now enough talk. Let's get you guys started into today's Ringside Roundup. All right, so the big question: where does this all start? Where does the fall of the Judgment Day? Where did it actually start in my eyes? So if you ask me, it literally started pretty recently, when just a few weeks ago, Raw would have a taping in Belfast where we would see in the main event of that episode of Raw, we would see Finn Balor take on CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. And in that match, we would have obviously Finn Balor lose, because obviously we know he's not champion. So CM Punk did remain champion there. And then a week after, we would see a backstage segment between CM Punk and Finn Balor. And in that little segment, pretty much CM Punk told Finn Balor that, you deserve that shot. That's why you got that shot. But let's be honest, man. If you want to continue to get title shots, you want to continue to chase after gold, you need to leave the Judgment Day. They are not good for you, and that is a group that you should leave. You need to leave the losers like Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. You need to leave those people in order to get better, in order to chase gold, in order to chase your achieve your dreams, basically. Because pretty much you and the Judgment Day, it's not working out for you, man, and I see that. So that right there, that little segment right there, already embeds the fact that, already embeds that Finn Balor is obviously going to be thinking about that for sure. He's going to really think, should I really be in the Judgment Day, or do I really need to leave? So that right there, from what CM Punk said to obviously Finn Balor, that already is going to make Finn Balor start thinking, hey, should I leave or should I stay? That's kind of the thing. So that right there already brings about the idea of a potential member leaving the Judgment Day, which could then collapse into the entire Judgment Day just splitting up as a whole. But continuing on from that, then I believe it was in the same night of that taping of Raw, where we would see a backstage segment where we would see Finn Balor talk to Adam Pearce, but that's kind of besides the point. But after he would talk to Pearce, he would walk down the hall and he would, meet one of his Judgment Day members or partners, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan would tell Finn, do not listen to CM Punk. Do not listen to what he's trying to feed you. Do not leave the Judgment Day. If you leave, you lose. Because as a team is when we win. We win as a team, and if you leave, you will not succeed. You need to stay with the Judgment Day, because we win as a group. We do not win as individuals. So basically, what that does there, from what Liv says to Finn, is that kind of is going to make Balor be contemplating, like, okay, do I stay or do I leave? It's going to continue to make him contemplate. So it's kind of already now it's like a big pressure on Balor, like, okay, what do I do? Like, he's really going to have to think about this one. So I think that's really where it all starts, man, because this is the first way that we actually see that we actually kind of get an insight of a potential split in the Judgment Day. Because CM Punk tells Balor, you should leave the Judgment Day, while his members are telling him, you should stay. You need to stay in the Judgment Day if you want to continue if you want to actually succeed in the rest of your career. So I think this is where it all starts, as far as the Judgment Day splitting up, for sure. But I mean, yeah, I think this is really the main, the starting point for the Judgment Day and the decline of their group as a whole, if you ask me. Okay, so that's where it starts, in my opinion. But now, what happens after? Well, after that is where we jump to the Royal Rumble. Now, what happened at the Royal Rumble? Well, specifically, we need to talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. We talked about Finn Balor. We talked about how it starts with Finn. But now we need to talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. So in this Women's Royal Rumble, two of the 30 women would be Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, which is the main two we're going to be mentioning. Which is the main two we're going to be mentioning here. So So what happened between them? Well, we would get to a point in the Women's Royal Rumble where Liv Morgan would actually turn, well, she wouldn't turn on Raquel Rodriguez, but what she would do is actually eliminate her from the Royal Rumble. And keep in mind, obviously, Liv Morgan and Raquel, they are tag team partners. They are team members in the Judgment Day. So it's kind of weird why Liv would eliminate Raquel, and at the same time, Raquel would get dumped over. Raquel would kind of stand there, and she's like, what the flip? And you can, what the frick? Why are you eliminating me? What the hell? That was, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You can see the expression on her face. Meanwhile, in the ring, Liv Morgan is literally just smiling and laughing, while Raquel's, like, what the hell just happened? What the hell? I mean, so it's kind of like, why, it's making Raquel Rodriguez like, okay, are we, are we still, what's going on here? Why are you eliminating me? So that's kind of what that does there, is it really makes Raquel kind of have to start thinking, like, do I really need to stay with this group? Is this the group I need to stay with, or am I just going to continue to get possibly backstabbed, pretty much like I just did here? And that's kind of really the big question that's really going to be obviously in Raquel's mind after that, which we're going to talk about later on, because she would actually question Liv Morgan about that, which, like I said, we're gonna mention that later on. But it's kind of right here is where things start to shift as far as the women's side of things in the Judgment Day. So this is where things start to shift between Liv and Raquel. So I mean, we started off with Finn, where Finn would obviously have his interaction and leaving the Judgment Day, and now we have Liv and Raquel. So this sets the fire with Liv eliminating Raquel. That moment sets the fire for the split between not only just Raquel and Liv, but Raquel and Liv from the entire Judgment Day, if you ask me. So I think that's what that moment does. So we start with Finn, then we go to here, and I mean, it's really like kind of like what's next, So I think for sure what that moment did is it really obviously just makes Raquel question, what is going on here? Why did you just backstab me? And then at the same time, Liv's just in there, smiling and laughing. So it's like it's really like that thing where it's really kind of triggers your mind as a viewer and a watcher of the product, where it's like, okay, we're about to see probably a major shift here throughout the road to WrestleMania and just or at WrestleMania in general. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But this moment right here definitely sets the fire for a split as far as the women's side of things in the Judgment Day, if you ask me. Okay, and now we need to talk about the aftermath of the whole Liv Morgan and Raquel, and with Liv dumping Raquel over the top rope at the Women's Royal Rumble, like I said, just this past Saturday. So what happened after that? Well, just this past episode of Raw, so about 2 days ago by the time you guys are watching this, just this past episode of Raw, there would be a match scheduled for, it would be Raquel Rodriguez and going one-on-one in a good old-fashioned Philadelphia street fight with Stephanie Vauquer for the Women's World title. But before that, we would see Dominic Mysterio come out, and he would come out and just say pretty much he's only there just to introduce his Wadita, the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble winner, Liv Morgan. So he would call out Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan would come out. Pretty much what she would say is, talking about, what, the path that she's going to take for WrestleMania. And she pretty much just says, that's a hard decision. I really going to have to ponder my options. And I'm probably going to have to go over to SmackDown to really find out and figure out what I want to do there. But then Liv Morgan would also want to call out Raquel Rodriguez, because obviously her match would be next right after this. So she calls out Raquel. Raquel comes out, and pretty much Raquel tells Liv, yeah, cool, we've been celebrating your victory this past weekend. That's a major victory, but what was all that with you dumping me over the top rope? So right there, it's like, ooh, okay, Raquel, she wants answers. She's definitely pissed off in some way, or she's definitely really questioning their friendship here. So it's like, is our friendship true here? Why did you dump me over the top rope? That's what that does there. So then from there, Liv would pretty much just tell Raquel that, a win for one of us in the Judgment Day is a win for all. I was just trying, you have your title shot tonight, and I have my title shot at WrestleMania. So we're both, it's going to be a win-win. It's a win-win situation, So that's why I did what I did, basically, because a win for one of us is a win for all of us. And I think that's just what was best. So, I mean, and then Raquel from there would just pretty much just laugh and pretty much just, in a sarcastic way, like, oh yeah, okay, sure, yeah, that's why you did that. Yeah, I'm sure. So pretty much kind of just Raquel being sarcastic there. I mean, with her kind of just laughing in Liv's face, basically, because you can tell Raquel is like, no, that is not why you did that. You had zero reason to do that, basically, to eliminate me from the Rumble. And then afterwards, Raquel would even tell Liv, I have my match tonight. How about you just stay in the back? This is my time. This is my match. How about you just stay in the back? And then Liv Morgan agrees, so she would go to the backstage. She would do her thing. Stephanie Vaquer would come out, and now we are into the match. Now we are locked in with Raquel Rodriguez versus Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title. So that match gets underway, and the match was good. But that's besides the point. We need to get to the end of we need to actually talk about towards the end of the match, because towards the end of the match, well, pretty much the polar opposite of what Raquel wanted to happen is, we would obviously see Liv Morgan come out. Liv Morgan would indeed come out, and she would try to help out Raquel, which completely backfired. So she comes out and she would grab the title, which is on the podium, so the women's world title. She would grab that, get on the apron, give it to Raquel, and as she's passing it to her, you can already kind of tell, Raquel's like, what are you doing here? You can definitely see that expression on her face, but she still takes the title, to try to use it. But by that time, by the time that the title is already in, Raquel's, hands, Stephanie Vaquer is already back to her feet, and she has already shoved Raquel into the corner, and this is already backfired for Raquel. It's already went down south for Raquel. So then from there, we would get to a moment where Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez, they're basically both on the top rope. And at one point when they were on the top rope, we would also see Roxanne Perez come out and try to help, but that would just backfire as well, because she would just get headbutted by Stephanie and fall through a table on the outside. So I mean, both Judgment Day members, both Judgment Day girls, Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan, just completely costed Raquel, because then from there we would see a kind of like a nerve-wracking little spot, like I said, on the top rope with Raquel Rodriguez and and obviously Stephanie Vaquer. It would be a good back and forth, but inevitably it would backfire, because then Raquel would go through the table, it would snap, and then after that Raquel or Stephanie would go to the top, deliver her that little spinning move that she does off the top rope, and then get the 1, 2, 3, and match is over. So it pretty much, Raquel has just been costed the match and been costed her big title victory by her own teammates, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. So what that does there, well, we don't obviously know yet, because we haven't gotten to the next episode of Raw, but you can definitely predict some things, and really, yeah, you can definitely predict what's to happen. I guarantee you this next episode of Raw, Raquel's going to be even more pissed off, and I think next week it's going to get really interesting with the state of the Judgment Day. Honestly, I think this is where we're really going to see the first big change in the Judgment Day for sure. Probably this next episode of Raw, and then it's just only going to continue to go downhill from there, in my opinion. So what do I think is going to happen to this next episode of Raw as far as Liv and Raquel? Well, like I said, Raquel is definitely going to be pissed, not only at Liv, for sure Liv, of course, but honestly, I think Roxanne Perez as well, because she didn't obviously literally say, to tell Roxanne to stay in the back as well. She only told Liv, but still, Roxanne tried to come out and help too, and she failed. So you already know. Raquel is going to be angry with Liv, and since Roxanne also came out, there's no way in hell she's not going to be angry at Roxanne Perez as well. So I think that that moment with Liv coming out, even though she wasn't supposed to because Raquel told her not to, that is a big moment, and it's going to change, like I said, the state of the Judgment Day probably starting next week. Raquel is going to be extremely pissed. That's kind of a guaranteed, and she's going to be super freaking furious with her own teammates, and that's going to be like the first shift. Like, okay, I told you to stay in the back. You're not listening to me. This teamwork is not working. What's going on here? And why are you interfering in my matches when I told you not to? That's I literally told you as a team to stay in the back. This is my moment. And you just costed me my moment. So Raquel's gonna be so pissed, and it's gonna turn into inevitably probably Raquel versus Liv Morgan at some point, because Raquel's like, you cost me my title shot, you're going to pay, is what I think this is inevitably going to turn into as far as Raquel and Liv go, and even Roxanne Perez. So yeah, I think that moment there, it's definitely another groundbreaking change as far as the state of the Judgment Day as well. And it's only, like I said, it's only going to continue to keep crumbling down on the Judgment Day, if you ask me. This is not stopping. The decline of the Judgment Day is only just getting started, and it's going to continue to just get even freaking. It's going to continue to get even worse, man, as far as the decline of the Judgment Day goes, man. So we'll see. But yeah, as far as Liv and Raquel go, man, next week is going to be really freaking insane as far as the state of the Judgment Day between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, if you ask me. All right, so we talked about pretty much all of the other members of the Judgment Day, but the only ones that we have not really talking about yet is obviously JD McDonough, which honestly, where even is the guy, and then obviously Dominic Mysterio. So as far as where they Where they land in this, I really don't know. The one I could only really speak for right now is Dominic Mysterio because, you know, I would assume he's probably just going to stay with Liv after the breakup of the Judgment Day, if you ask me, and probably then at some point they're going to like their split's going to happen between Liv and Dom. Probably that's what I think is going to happen. But I mean, then again, I can't really be too sure as far as, like I said, JD and Dom go. To be at this point right now, I really don't know. I genuinely don't. Maybe they're going to be the ones that are going to try to, you know, avoid this breakup, but it's just inevitably still going to happen. I don't really know where they land in this currently, but I mean, obviously there's going to be some outcome for them. But like I said, where even is JD McDonough? I mean, how long has it been since that guy's been on TV? Because if you ask me, it feels like it's been a minute. See, I really don't know where them two land. You guys kind of, I mean, that's kind of just something you would have to predict, which I did not come prepared for predicting that, because, you know, we just don't have much of anything to really predict. I mean, there's not much substantial, you know, evidence to really predict anything for them to, if you ask me. But the other ones, there's very substantial evidence as far as, like I said, Finn Balor goes, because with that evidence, I mean, with all that embedded, you know, kind of that back and forth, like, okay, do I leave? Do I not? My team's telling me to stay, but other people are telling me to leave. And if I do leave, you know, I'll be able to get I'll be able to get title shots. I'll be able to get gold. I'll be able to achieve my, you know, what I want in my career. And then obviously, like I said, with Raquel and Liv, I mean, Raquel is obviously at some point going to snap on Liv Morgan, which is inevitably going to lead to again, that's a major piece of the Judgment Day falling off. So everything is, it's pretty much like a puzzle, man. One piece of the puzzle is going to break first, and it's all going to just come crashing down, in my opinion, if you ask me. All right, well, that is going to wrap up today's Ringside Roundup. As always, I hope you guys did enjoy. And like I said, man, leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. I do read comments, so be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below, man. Do you guys think the Judgment Day is going to split up? Do you guys think they're going to stay together? What do you guys think about everything I talked about as far as Raquel and Liv and Finn go? Let me know all that down in the comments below, man. Leave me all that. Debate my thoughts. Leave your thoughts. Talk about anything you want to talk about the world of professional wrestling. All that can be done down in the comments below, man. Like I said, who doesn't love a good old talk and debate about professional wrestling? Let's be honest, man. So leave your comments. Do not click off this video without leaving one comment. That is the challenge for you guys. Drop a freaking comment on the video, man. Let me know you guys' thoughts below. Like I said, as always, before we get out of here, be sure to help your boy out by liking the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Go follow the socials. You guys already know how to get to those. They are found in the links of every video in the description. So without further ado, man, hope you guys did enjoy. Leave your thoughts down below, and I will catch y'all boys in the next one. Peace.